Do you have a warrant for your arrest? What can you do about it? What are some of the steps that you can take to protect yourself? Hi, I'm Jeff Hampton with the Hampton Law Firm. Thank you for joining us today on our YouTube channel. Today, I'm going to talk exactly about this issue. What if you have a warrant for your arrest? What if somebody you found out, maybe you got a phone call from a detective, maybe a detective came by and put a card at your door. Maybe you found out you had a warrant for your arrest from someone else, maybe your employer, or you tried to go go ahead and re-up your driver's license. If this has happened to you, you need to know exactly what's coming your way. Now, by the way, if you wait around to the end of this video, I'll also give you a free ebook, What to Do If You Have Been Charged with a Crime in Texas. Okay, now let's talk about this. You've got really two options. Now, I'm going to break it down for both, okay? Number one, you can try to handle this situation on your own. And I'm actually going to give you exactly what you can do if you want to handle this situation on your own without an attorney. Number one, and this is a little risky, but you could have someone else do this for you, a family member or whatever, to call the police department from which the warrant originated. Find out, is there really a warrant? Now, are they going to necessarily have to tell you? They don't have to, but many times they will, particularly if someone calls just to confirm name and date of birth to see if there's a warrant for their arrest. But then the second thing you can do, if they don't tell you that information, you could also contact a good, trustworthy bondsman who could also look to see if they can find a warrant for your arrest out in the main system in terms of the TCIC or NCIC that's out there, the database available for people to be able to see that information, okay? Then here's the thing. Let's say a bondsman tells you there is one, or you find out you do have a warrant for your arrest. Now you're going to have to schedule a time to turn yourself in. And I say schedule a time, you're not really scheduling a time, you're just showing up, okay? Now I'm gonna speak for a moment about Fort Worth, Dallas, the North Texas area, but I want to talk to you about the best time to turn yourself in. Many people think the best time is I'm going to go turn myself in the afternoon, or I'm going to go over the weekend. Be very careful. In my experience, one of the best times to turn yourself in is 5, 6 o'clock in the morning, because you go down to the jail. If you're in Tarrant County, it's 100 North Lamar Street, Tarrant County Correction Center. And that's another good point. Don't just go turn yourself in at any city jail. Don't go just turn yourself in. If it's a county case, let's say it's a Tarrant County case, don't go to Hearst and turn yourself in. Don't go to Mansfield and turn yourself in. You need to go down to the county jail, which in Tarrant County would be 100 North Lamar Street, the Tarrant County Correction Center, or Dallas County Jail in downtown. So either one of these, you need to go to the county jail and turn yourself in. Here's why. If you don't do that, they many times will hold you at the city jail. Let's say you go to Arlington. They'll hold you there to transfer you over to the county jail. And here's why. You have to be arraigned. Under Texas law, you must be arraigned by a magistrate judge, told what kind of case you have, and then a bond has to be set. Okay? You are adding an extra step and lengthening the amount of time you're sitting in jail if you don't turn yourself in at the right place. Okay? Now, I want to give you a realistic understanding of how long it takes to get out of jail. Back in the good old days, it only took an hour or two to get in and out of jail, and it wasn't that big of a deal. But I can tell you, in both Tarrant County and Dallas County specifically, and this is going on in many of the other counties in Texas as well, it is taking much longer, particularly with the COVID restrictions and all the things that are going on with that. I'm going to tell you, it is not uncommon. I have had clients that I've represented and helped them with their bonds on shoplifting cases take up to 36 hours to get out of jail. Okay, so now I'm not saying that's going to happen in your situation, but I'm just letting you know it can take anywhere between 8 to 12 hours to get booked in and get in front of a judge. And then once that bond is set, then your family member has to post the bond, and it can take another 12 hours before you get out, depending on how backed up the system is. Okay, so that's how you handle it by yourself. Now, what if you work with a criminal attorney, particularly a criminal attorney who can also help you with the bonding process? Well, here's what would happen. If you were to contact and hire an attorney, the first thing that attorney could do is, at our law office, what we could do is contact the detective who actually put the warrant into place and find out what's going on. Now, it's rare, but we have had instances where we've spoken to a detective, shared information with them, and they've been willing to recall a warrant. That doesn't happen very often, but I can tell you, you want to know for sure, what are you being charged with? What is my warrant number? And is there a recommended bond amount? Okay, because back, another thing that used to happen back in the good old days is there used to be something called a walkthrough. Now you can't do a walkthrough anymore, but there is an option called a waiver of magistrate, where sometimes for certain types of offenses, if you receive permission from one of the magistrate judges, it might be possible that you, particularly with situations where someone's high risk, COVID's out there spreading like crazy, someone where we can get a judge potentially to agree to allow you to do a walkthrough. It's called a waiver of magistrate, which is the equivalent of a walkthrough. But you don't even get a chance to consider that as an option if you don't have an attorney look into that for you ahead of time, okay? Now, and finally, if you work with an attorney who also can handle bonds, there's a possibility you don't have to pay twice. You can actually have an attorney both help post your bond, like we do here at the Hampton Law Firm. I do not charge you for the bonding process. It is a part of the legal fee already, and it is a service that's provided. And the Texas Constitution provides that an attorney can do that if they are bonded through the county. So if you're, for instance, in Tarrant County, that is an option that could exist for your case if you need an attorney to help you with the bonding process, okay? Now, let me just say this, the book in and book out process, how long does it take? And what about bond conditions? I've already mentioned that the book in and book out process can easily take a minimum of 12, usually in the range of 24 up to 36 hours to book in and out of jail, particularly in the Tarrant County Jail. But what about bond conditions? What if you've been wrongfully charged with, say, a domestic violence case or some type of case where now you find a probation officer coming to you, pretrial services, saying you're going to have all these bond conditions, cannot leave the county. That's a big one. Cannot leave the county, must wear a scram monitor, must wear an ankle monitor, GPS. What if you're looking at some of these conditions saying, wait a minute, that's not fair? How do you modify these? Well, that's why it's so important to have hired an attorney from the very beginning, because a good criminal attorney can file a motion to modify those bond conditions, get in front of a judge, and see about having many of those bond conditions rolled back, or at least possibly eased in some way when many times magistrate judges just don't know exactly what's going on and they just add a whole lot of conditions that may be unnecessary. Finally, how long is it going to be till your court date? This is the question I get all the time. Well, it really depends. On some quick misdemeanors that are filed very quickly, you may have a court date as quickly as a week. But in other cases, more complex felonies, we've had it be where someone does not have their first court date for months. And literally, we've had a few that they didn't even file the case for a year later. So those kind of things can vary, and that's why it's so important to have the leadership and guidance of a good criminal attorney to help walk you through that process. And this is pretty much the case regardless of where you're facing a criminal charge. But I do want to tell you this, if you're facing a criminal charge in the North Texas area, I want to invite you to call the number that's above on the screen that you see here, and we will be happy to provide you a free consultation and a case analysis. And I promised you that if you waited around to the end of this video, I'd give you a free ebook, What to Do If You Have Been Charged with a Crime in Texas. Click through down into the actual text portion of the YouTube video down here, and you'll see the link that's available. And I encourage you to click through to that and give us your email address. We'll send that right over to you. I hope this has helped you. If nothing else, it's an overwhelming thing to understand what your options are when you have a warrant for your arrest. So I hope this was of assistance to you. We look forward to seeing you on our next video series, and thanks for joining us here today.